Hello, welcome to All In with Jay and Jay. I'm Julia Cordova, and this is my co-host Jay Strizz, and we're coming to you from the Place Your Trades Network, which hosts daily podcasts where we trade our yes or no picks for events contract live on air. If you want to see all of our hot picks and get a chance to win weekly cash and prizes, go to placeyourtrades.com. When you sign up, you're going to get a free trade from our sponsor, Tradeovate. But in order to claim your free trade, you must open your Tradeovate account from placeyourtrades.com. So, hi, Jay. How was your weekend?
Good. I love how hard you leaned into that. You did it exactly like I told you to. That was fantastic.
I
My
tried so
weekend was
hard.
okay.
I was not
I
wearing my
know.
glasses, so I was trying to sound natural, but also not say something that was not the right word. You know what I
Right. No
mean?
kidding. No kidding. Yeah, no. I've been there. Before I had LASIK, I was the exact same way. I just got to memorize my presentation before I, you know,
I don't know
do
why I didn't memorize it. I think I'm just nervous to flub it up. One time I was in this high school, it was a Dracula, and they made me Von Helsing, which is normally a guy, but they created a role just for me because I'm very dramatic. And I flubbed the lines. I had like one scene later on that I was supposed to say the lines where I did it really early. So then we had to do the whole play around the fact that it already killed him. I don't know. It was a disaster.
that doesn't
Yeah,
sound good. I didn't know that you were an art kid, little drama kid.
I was in drama club.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
How was your weekend? Before we talk about how awful my weekend was, okay?
Yeah.
How you doing? I know that you got the hurricane going on. You're alive. You have internet, kind of. What's up?
I'm on a hotspot. So hopefully I'm not going to, flub out during this presentation. But yeah, I've been using my phone, which is better than last time. Last time we had electricity, but no phone, no cable, no internet. And it was weird. Like I didn't know what was going on in the world. I had to buy a newspaper. I,
Oh my
it was
god,
crazy. I,
awful. I
I
don't think
know.
I don't think I've ever even read one of those. I'm serious. Like, okay, maybe the sports section when I was a kid, but
Yeah.
outside of that,
Wow.
never.
I used to fight my sisters for the comics section of the Sunday newspaper. Man, I would run out to the driveway, this huge paper. I'd be like, ah, yeah, get the good stuff out, take it. And then I'd be like delivering it to the family. Like, okay.
That's awesome. That's all
No, so
right.
anyway, so yeah, we survived the hurricane, very minor damage, thank goodness. Other people were not so lucky. So we're trying to help out some folks around us. But for the most part in our neighborhood, just a lot of palm fronds down, some roof shingles, some leaks. No big whoop. Could be so much worse.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. I was actually looking at. I mean, you know that I'm actively looking to move to the states, right? And I was kind of looking at the Tampa Bay, Sarasota area, and I hear they're not doing too well. So
No,
yeah,
but it's a beautiful
yeah,
area. When I mean,
yes.
other than hurricanes, it's a beautiful area. It really is. It's nice. I like it. And we don't have all the taxes that a lot of states have. We're pretty free here, which is good.
I know,
Yeah.
but I read all these stories about Florida man, and I'm just afraid of it. I'm just so so if Florida
Oh,
man does this, I'm like, oh god.
oh no, no. When I moved here, single, I was like, oh no, I am never gonna find somebody in this state. Like it's just not gonna, it's not gonna happen. But anyway, so tell me about your weekend. You haven't.
So we finished watching Dahmer on Netflix,
Okay, that was
and
creepy.
okay, so unsettling, right? I mean, that dude yeah, I don't even want to okay, don't want to get
I'm
into it. Great show, watch it. It'll creep you
Yeah.
the F out, okay? Yeah, it's
No,
something. It's a
it
piece of
was
work,
worse. It
okay?
was worse than the market
Um,
on Friday. It was bad.
and then I ended up getting mild food poisoning last night. Probably I don't even know. Maybe it's just a stomach bug from watching Dahmer eat people, basically. I don't know. I lost 4 pounds in the last 24 hours, so I feel like a prune right now. It's not a good time. But even the mild food poisoning that I got over the last 24 hours outweighs the beating that I took in the market last week, because I don't think I could have been more wrong. And I'm just gonna own that.
Yeah, you know what, Jay? We were a little high on bull juice last Sunday, but you know what? In our defense, we had there was two shots at it last week. One would have been a huge gap up on Monday. That would have been a shot at glory. The other one would have been after we came down, bounced from the 3614 area up. If we'd have just been able to hold it, that would have been glorious as well. So we took our shot. You got to shoot your shot.
True. This is true. And that like area of resistance that we were talking about at 3750 ended up being the high of the week. And then it was just all downhill from there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we just weren't short it, right?
But that's true. But everybody else got it right in our poll, not us. But
this is true. This is true. Speaking of which, go to Julia's Twitter, Cordova Trades, vote in the poll. We're going to place a trade at the end of this thing. And we're going to, place our bet on like whether or not we close above 3,600 or not. I think we just opened at 3,594 or so. Totally forgot. I was having so much fun with you. I forgot that the market opened.
Oh no, right?
Yeah.
So okay. But anyway, let's bring in. We have a guest today, and I want to talk to this. I'll tell you how I found out about this guy once we bring him in. I'm so excited. His name is Bootsy Jones. He's at Bootsy Jones on Twitter. See, there he is. Right, he's in between us. Hi,
Perfect.
Bootsy. How are you?
We need some distance between us.
I'm gonna hit you on the head now. Jay, hit yourself.
Yeah. Okay, that worked.
We tried special effects earlier.
Okay. Yeah. We'll work on that.
Hi,
Bootsy, man, how are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm on a bad hair day, so we're gonna use the avatar today. So
that's all right, dude. You're actually one of the only people on FinTwit who offered me like real career advice when I took like my first trading job. So I just wanted to like publicly thank you. Bootsy's the man. He's got a wealth of knowledge, and we're gonna try and like tap into this. Julia, how did you find Bootsy?
Okay. I found this guy. All right. So, I didn't have an audience when I started Twitter. I'm not particularly known for anything just outside of just being a retail trader on Twitter. But I started seeing Bootsy's posts, and he had like 300 to 400 followers at the time. It wasn't a lot. It was really not a lot. But I saw his stuff, and I was like, wow, this guy gets it. This guy is really smart. And then when I was posting something that basically like, I'm not sure if people think that other people think this and and he posted something to me. I saved it here because I wanted to say, he said, sounds like the beauty pageant analogy, which is Keynesian theory. And I was like, okay, smart guy. I have no idea what that was. So I had to look it up. And then I was like, well, I want to learn from this guy. He is amazing. His charts are so clean and beautiful, unlike a lot of people's out there. But anyway, so that I found you that way, Bootsy, and I'm super thrilled that I did. I'm so excited. And I remember I was like, we're going to get you to 1,000 followers today. Don't worry.
I remember that too, yeah.
And we did. We got him to 1,500. I was like, yes.
The man needs his respect. Okay, he needs all the attention that he is rightfully deserved for putting out the work.
You guys are too kind. You're too kind.
So
what's with the baseball? Yeah,
what is that?
Well, it's like October. It's my favorite time of the year when it comes to sports. Let's just say we've got baseball kind of winding up. They've got basketball's in the pipeline, hockey's in the pipeline, college football, NFL. So it's like the sweet spot in the calendar for, I guess, anticipation of things that are kind of coming. So you got the World Series coming, and then some pretty interesting records are kind of on tap in baseball, and so it's part of my history as well. So I did end up playing a few years of professional baseball. Came right out of high school, like still wet behind the ears. And
unbelievable.
Just kind of grounded. I was a grinder. I was never the best, never the worst, but I just was like, the old saying, the second mouse gets the cheese, right? So
yep.
I was the guy that was just like, stick it out, and that was
what position did you play?
I was a pitcher.
Okay.
But it's weird. Like I was just thinking about this like last night. Somebody asked me about this, and I said, I just like so many injuries along the way, just had this kind of cumulative effect, and it was really hard to kind of dodge them at one point. And so I think that the writing was on the wall eventually.
Unlucky.
But yeah, it was a great career, a lot of fun, opened a ton of doors, and it was.
Wait, you're Canadian, right?
Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah. Did you go to school in Ontario?
I did, yeah. But university wise, I had scholarships to the States out of high school, ready to go, and then I got drafted. My biggest concern was
OFSA a thing back in the day?
It was.
Okay, let's go. Yeah. My high school won OFSA baseball.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's an accomplishment, actually.
Yeah, I know. Our guy,
deal.
Joel Pierce, man. I think he went. He's playing for like Milwaukee or something. I think he made it to the show. Yeah. Crazy.
It's pretty wild. That's pretty wild.
I know.
You guys, I got up before because somewhere in my office, I have a baseball that I got all the Red Sox to sign after they won the first World Series after 80 years. Like I went around and kissed their butts at different charity events. Some of them have some of them have contracts that they're not even allowed to sign anything in certain, events. Like you have to pay for them to sign. But Dustin Pedroia, such a cool guy. He saw what I was trying to do. He's like, and then I threw him the ball. He caught the ball, and then he threw it back. I'm like, oh my God, I just played ball with Dustin freaking Pedroia. Holy crap. Anyway, that's what I was looking for, but I can't find it right now. I don't know what I did.
If you find it, don't ever sell it.
Oh, yeah. I'll take a picture for you.
That's awesome.
Okay. So why did you go from sports to trading? What made you think to yourself, I want to torture myself?
Yeah, right. So in a sport like baseball, where you fail 7 out of 10 times as a hitter, you get to go to the Hall of Fame. So I guess there is this sort of like self-deprecating kind of thing. But it was weird. Like, growing up in Canada, you're like kind of taught from an early age, always have a plan B. So I always kind of had a plan B. And I went to school. I ended up getting a biochemistry degree in the off season. I just ground that out because I had no idea what I wanted to do. Never ended up working in the field. And actually I did a stint as a pharmaceutical rep for Pfizer for 3 months. And that was that. I want no part of this. And then I
hire good-looking, disciplined people. So
yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah,
so,
they do. Yeah.
So this is a totally useless degree. So I ended up going into management, which was actually not a bad gig. And then I bumped into this guy at lunch one day, and he had a book with him. I saw what he was carrying, and it was something about trading. It could have been Mark Douglas's Trading in the Zone, now that I think about it, which was kind of like back then the Bible. And I thought that was interesting. So I just introduced myself, and we chatted, and he was literally next door to his office where he was running a prop firm. He's like, why don't you come on up and take a look? So I did. And I was like, wow, this is pretty wild. Because you walk in and it's like 85 degrees because it's a room full of CRT monitors. And it was a little bit like something out of the movies that were popular at the time. Like, I don't know, like Boiler Room obviously, yeah, that's it. Wall Street, these kinds of things. So I thought, wow, this is kind of wild. And so I gave it a shot for a little while, and they literally sat beside me. He sat beside me and said, you get 100 shares. You got to make $90 this month. And I was like, $90? I'm going to do that in an hour. And then in about 3 seconds, I'm down $45. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is like the big
Where did it all go wrong?
Where did it all go wrong? Won the first trade, right? And so he's like, you got to do this. So, I'll hit the fast forward button, but I kind of figured it out. I figured out some styles, and I stuck around. I made enough to stick around. And so I said, I was like, you got like 13 guys here. Who's the number one guy? And he said, oh, it's this fellow over here. And I was like, well, where he's at? He's like, well, he's a pajama trader. He's at his house. And I thought to myself, why can't I be a pajama trader? But the reason why I couldn't be a pajama trader is because this fellow was pulling money out of the market on a daily basis, like he was walking up to an ATM. And so I said, okay, what's he doing? And I just drove over to his house, introduced myself, and he graciously allowed me to sit behind him for a couple of days. And I wrote everything down I saw. I still have the notes. I actually looked at them about a week ago. So this is like a year. This is years ago. This is like lot of years ago, 2005, 2006, in there somewhere. And
10. Okay.
the funny thing is that I thought, okay, this is the thing I need to do. I got to be like this person. But that person and me outside of trading were complete opposites. He was hyper contrarian, and I was like, I was like a warm glass of milk, kind of glass half full guy, always looking on the positive. But this guy was like always looking for the thing that was going to end the world. So he became a very good counter trend trader. So for example, like in an uptrend, he was always buying pullbacks. In a downtrend, he was always going short rips. So he was always offside. He'd have 10 positions. Everyone was red. And by 3:00, he was up $3,000 every day, like a machine. And so again, this is before algorithms. This is before black box. This is before front running, dark pools, exchanges. This was like level 2 is it. Everything was on level 2, everything. So the advantage I think we had was we could figure out and learn about order flow. So when you see things getting lifted passively, or you see people crossing, it leaves an impression. So you have to start memorizing levels. And that was the thing that kind of, I thought, okay, because like I'd walk in there and he'd say 335 on this stock is the buy. And I'm looking at the chart, there's nothing there. And all of a sudden the price would move down to 335, guys would show up on the bid, they get filled, and the thing would turn around and go. And so I thought, okay, what are we doing here? So that was something I figured, when they say 90% of the people that do this fail, now I kind of know why, because to do that, you need some serious mental gymnastics. Like you need to be, you cannot be just like, you can't have CNBC on the background and some music going and, like get me a Starbucks. I mean, you got to be hyper focused on these prints. Like every single print that went through the time and sales, you had to almost not memorize it, but kind of know where it was. So the thing that I kind of drew out of there was every day he would approach, the 9:30 time frame. He had call it 3 to 6 stocks that were his bread and butter. Occasionally remove one, occasionally would add one. Each stock had 3 levels above, 3 levels below. They were written out prior. So this was all done the night before when the market's closed, and you can kind of sit and think and go through your notes so that when stuff's moving out throughout the day and a stock gets to your level, you don't need to fumble through your notes to figure out. I mean, it's all there in front of you, right? So that was probably the thing that I gleaned from him was, number one, preparation is key. You cannot you can't go find a level at 10:30 in the morning. Like forget it. Like if people are doing that, they're basically telling you they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
All the pre-work's got to be done like the night before. Get your levels out there. So I thought that was interesting. And so, he kind of did his thing. I kind of did mine. We were very opposite. And unfortunately, he's not doing it anymore because he had a couple blowups that were somewhat catastrophic. But
it happens.
Yeah.
It happens. Yeah.
It does
happen. Yeah. So, I mean, there was a book I read. I remember being in a hotel room somewhere in spring training one year, and they handed out these books. It was called The Psychology of Baseball. And I'm looking at this. I'm like, this thing's like 3 inches thick. What is in here? So I started kind of thumbing through it. And it was a collection of stories and ideas and thoughts about competition. It's sort of applied to baseball, but it kind of didn't. And then I came across this fella carrying the Mark Douglas book, and it was very, very similar. So I thought, oh my God, like these two paths are very, very similar. You're engaging an opponent. Sometimes that opponent is the market. Most of the time that opponent is you. Like you're the person you're engaging, really. And, this prop firm was a very, very, a very good place for me to go and make every single mistake in the book. Because, if you're a young guy or gal right now and you're like, let's say you're either in school or out of school and you're trying to make ends meet, and we're in a ridiculous inflationary environment and your money's kind of going out. I mean, you can kind of scratch the surface a little bit by joining a prop firm, and you can say to yourself, okay, I'm going to do this for 6 to 12 months and I'm just going to be in learning mode. If I make money, great. I don't have no expectations.
You limit your risk, right? I mean,
really quick, how do you think, what are these prop firms looking for? Like if there's somebody in the chat and they're like, hey man,
Yeah.
this trading thing seems really interesting. How do I turn this into a career, man? Like,
Yeah, that's a good question. So,
Because
I
some of them are
mean,
scams. Like, how do
yeah,
you know?
exactly. And like Jules, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. I mean, how do you control risk? Well, if I walk in the door of a prop firm, my risk is zero. The firm blows
Right.
up, that's their problem.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like,
True.
okay, you got to bring a $5,000 risk bond. And I said, that's not happening. I mean, I'm here to trade. I'm not bringing you $5,000. So he's like, So he got back to me a couple of days later. He's like, all right, that's fine. You can do it without it. So, I mean, like, if you can find a prop firm that's willing to take a risk on you, without a risk bond, that you can, I mean, some of them, I mean, $2,500. I mean, I've seen that at entry level kind of places. $5,000 is too much. Never. But yeah, I mean, I look at it like a risk reward trade. I'm going to risk, call it $2,500, and the reward is going to be as much knowledge as I can get quickly as possible. And then you're going to be like, okay, what are the successful people doing, and how do I apply that to my own personality? That's the thing a lot of people don't understand, is that your personality, Jules, and yours, Jay, and mine, like, we're all three different people. So we kind of like gravitate to different instruments and different styles and different time frames. So the prop firm is where you kind of figure out what time frames you like, what styles you like. Are you a contrarian? Are you a positive person? Are you negative? And, what are your strengths and weaknesses from a personality standpoint? And then it's like, okay, let's start figuring that out. The trading is actually second. That's just an extension of who you are, really, what your personality is. I mean, we had this thing down. I mean, he said, the fellow that who was kind of mentoring me, he said, my right eye is stronger than my left. I was like, okay. So his level 2 is in front of him, but his charts were to the right, because he found he had a natural kink in his neck where he was always kind of glancing right. He found that it was too much pressure on his neck to glance left. So he put all of his charts to the right and his screen in front. And I thought, okay, that's a little bit strange, but I mean, this guy has got every single detail kind of sorted out. And if you're going to do this, that's the kind of attention you have to apply to this stuff, right?
Yeah, you can't fight your nature.
Exactly, right? And the reason I mentioned that little bit about having your levels done the night before, you're like, oh, why don't you need indicators, and why don't you need, like delta and options flow, and why don't you need all this stuff? Because, I mean, so for me, I had a sample size of 1. I was like, okay, this guy is just like a human ATM. So what is he doing? He's keeping everything extremely clean and extremely simple. And, he gave himself enough information to process in flow based upon when the market. So market's moving throughout the day. He has that information coming into his brain. He has the pre-work he's done coming into his brain. Anything else beyond that is overload. So I thought, okay, let's keep this really simple and really clean. And if you can do that, you don't really need tons and tons and tons and tons of stuff. Like,
Right.
I don't know.
Sure, keep it simple.
I'm just trying to relay the kind of thing that I had, because, there's message boards. Like back in the day, we had Elite Trader, and, you kind of perv around there for a while, but you don't really get anything of substantial value. But when you sit behind someone that does this, you're like, I need to figure out how to apply that. And that's kind of how I did it. So.
Wow.
That's awesome, man. So you're trading now. Is it mostly algorithmic? Is it discretionary? Have you dabbled in algos? Like,
yeah,
how's it working?
What we used to do, we used to take the exchange feeds and funnel them through some Excel programs, and we would just write these Excel programs, and we came up with like 4 or 5 really good ones that were all passive. So one of the things with prop shops is they're like, oh, if you get hit passively on the bid, you get credits. And you're like, what, credits? But then after a while, you're like, oh, wow, credits add up. So let's come up with some ideas to do that. And so we did this for a few years. But so by then I was a pajama trader, because I had started making enough money, and he let me out of the office.
Let's go, champ. Well done.
Right on, right? So then we hired this guy to program these things for me, because I said, I don't know where first base is. And he started doing it I said, this is what I want. Can you do it? And he did it. And it was really kind of cool. So we came up with some programs, like one was called the Shake, and all these other various ones. And like in a market that is trending sideways, these things were like very, very successful. I would just sit there and watch this thing buy, sell, and it was really, really kind of cool. So that was the extent. So very basic, simple algos. Then we would apply them to like 25 stocks at once, and then we'd scale it. So we had to keep it simple in order to scale it. And then you put in stops on each one, and after a while, it was working very, very well. I was telling another fellow this story about when that came to a grinding halt was I was discretionarily trading a stock. I really wanted this thing, and I saw it had come down to a level I liked, and somebody was sitting on the offer with 8,000 shares. I was like, do I lift this guy, or do I just kind of sit there and nibble passively on the bid? And so I thought, I'm going to cross in and I'm going to go in with a bid on the ask. I'm just going to see what happens when I lift this guy. And I went in, hit enter, and he moved up 1 penny. And so my bid's sitting there with 8,000. He's on the offer with 8,000. And it's like he's staring at me. And I thought, wow, this is really weird. So I tried it again, and he moved. And I thought, holy cow. Like it was like a moment I'll never forget. It's like where were you when, I don't know, the 9/11, and where were you when Kennedy was assassinated, and where were you when
that time?
It was for me, that moment. That's how much, like, I was just standing there or sitting there. I just leaned back in my chair and I said, it's over for a lot of guys, like today, like right now. So that was the day I recall. And then there was this fella down in New York who was creating an exchange with these spools of fiber optic cable and all that stuff. Anyway, I'm kind of getting ahead, but yeah. So to answer your question, I have done that, but I've kind of switched back to keeping things simple. I mean, for years and years and years, from say 2012 to 2000, let's call it, well, I guess present day, I really switched into trading futures just because of the liquidity. I thought levels were really good and guides the market. Like they guide the market. And so I moved into that arena there because they dictate intraday where, of course, equities are going to go, right? So you got to know the levels in the futures. But after a while, it's like, okay, I'm going to just start trading these guys. And I recall getting, a high to low 15, 20 point move in a day was a minor victory back in, 2012. But there was a day like a week ago, like on a Monday or Tuesday, I had to go back and look at this. There was a day where the ES round tripped 300 points from 9:30 to 4. And I was thinking about, I wasn't trading it per se, but I was like, oh my God, this is, if somebody's exclusively trading this successfully, there's a lot of people out there.
They're gone.
I took the long that day and I didn't flip short and I kicked my own butt for it. I was I was so mad at myself. But
well, we're in a lack of trend environment right now, other than down.
So you would say that you had one mentor or two?
Yeah,
how many?
That's true. Just the one, really. Just the one individual that we had one-on-one time with.
How important do you think having a mentor is?
I think it's actually fairly important because it allows you to hit the fast forward button at the right time. Like if I had somebody walk into me right now and teach me some things that were different, I don't think I would move as far forward as I did, say, day 1, day 2, day 3. I would move a little bit farther forward, but not to the extent I did early on. So that's what I was thinking. If you ever get into a prop situation, it always kind of got a bad rap, but if you kind of go in with a 6 month, let's say you got a time horizon and you have an open mind to just be in learning environment, or in learning mode, sorry. You can poke around and say, hey, listen, who's good here? What are they doing? There's a couple ways you can do it, but initially when you're when you're out of the gate, you have to be in learning mode and you have to be willing to make mistakes and be willing to say that it's okay, right? It's totally fine. It's totally fine. I've had blow ups, several.
So now that we've moved past the mentor thing, So is there something that you've seen? Because like you've been on a few prop firm floors, right? Have
Mm-hmm.
you seen something that people have been telling other individuals where you're just like, that is so fucking useless? Like, have you ever
Mm-hmm.
seen some like really bad advice like that's happened on these floors?
It's
What a
probably just
question.
taking too much size. Like it's
Like yeah,
probably
because a lot of
breaking.
people try and find a mentor, but then the mentor, like be it on Twitter or like futures.io, like you just pick up all this advice from some like literally random strangers on the internet, right? And
Right.
it's like, well, how much of this advice just like isn't that great? Like, is
Mm-hmm.
there like, and it just leads to these massive pitfalls that these new traders have. So it's like, what
Mm-hmm.
would you say? What do you see that these people get told where it just ends up like, oh no, that you're kneecapping yourself if you do that, too
Yeah,
much
maybe.
size?
I mean, there are a lot of people saying, "Oh, I'm going long here at this price," and they say it on the internet at on FinTwit. And the first thing they don't tell you is their time frame. They don't tell you their stop.
Right.
And
Mhm.
Right.
I've had people DM me and say, "You use stops?" I'm like, yeah, I use stops because I've been at this for 17 years. You've been at it for 7 months. So sorry, I mean that's just the way it is. I don't know. Sometimes I get a great sense of relief when a stop goes off, because like, wow, so maybe that due diligence I did, maybe there's an error in my thinking or whatever the
It's the
case
insurance
may be.
policy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
Right.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's a great question. I'm kind of racking my brain a little bit here. I'm sure if I spent 3 minutes on FinTwit, I could find you two examples. But
Yeah, well, that's why I was asking, because it's like I wonder. Like sometimes I'm reading this stuff and I'm like, well, I know that wouldn't fly. So I just
yeah,
wanted your take on that.
I mean,
And like,
a young person's in a trade. If they feel their heart beating, just get out. Like, just get out of the thing.
yes,
I don't. Doesn't matter if you're up.
absolutely.
You know, if you're having an emotional reaction to getting long 13 shares of a $400 stock, just get out. Go find something else. Back in the day, this is actually interesting. Back in the day, hedge funds couldn't trade stocks. Now, not institutions. They couldn't take stuff overnight that was, I don't know, under $5. So we had like a portfolio. We just kind of babysat and watched and just smashed these stocks between $3 and $5 because it was pure retail. So you could kind of see, like you could see overreaching moves all the time on these like just under $5, and then they'd go over $5 and the volumes would start to come in. So you kind of knew who was doing what. That was actually a fun little exercise. Now I have no idea if that's even even in play right now.
Hey,
But
Bootsy, do you care at all about macro stuff? I mean, when CS or Credit Suisse was trending this weekend. I mean, are
mhm.
you looking at that stuff at all when you are setting up your trades? Or I tried it myself. I tried to do
Listen,
earmuffs.
Bootsy,
And,
she's trying to be nice, okay? Basically, what she's saying, okay, is that we're gonna have to place some picks here. The market's trading at 36.07. There was some bullshit that happened over the weekend. I need somebody with a big brain to tell me what the fuck is going on. Okay.
yeah, I want
Are you
somebody
that
else to
guy?
tell me.
Yeah,
No,
Credit
listen, you
Suisse
pay
is
attention to
credit.
that.
Yeah, Credit Suisse isn't even on my radar. I mean, it's $3. Where's it going to go? Zero? I mean,
Well, I mean,
probably eventually will.
no. You know what? I keep thinking there was Evergreen, Everclear. I don't know all of the different evers that happened that were supposed to that were supposed to crash the market. There's always something, and one thing will one time, but for now, it's just probably just another thing, right? Just be aware of
Yeah,
it, watch the stock price, and uh,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, from a
Okay,
geo.
well, I mean this was
Go
really
ahead. Go
great
ahead.
to have you on. What is
Well,
there
thank
anything
you.
else we should ask? Do you think, Jay?
Uh, Bootsy, there's about like 200 people watching. Just give one piece of advice before we kick you off our show. Okay. Not that we don't love having you. I'm sure we'll have you again because this, honestly, man, you're fantastic. And this
No,
wasn't
you
long.
guys are awesome. No, I appreciate that. You guys are awesome. And Jules is the individual. We talked about this earlier, just offline a little bit, and I have to also say a great. I also have a great debt of gratitude for you for early on we had some nice conversations, and I do
Oh
really
my
appreciate that.
No, you are so
Yeah.
freaking smart.
I'm actually
I
glad
adore
that
you.
you didn't show your face because after talking to you, I feel like every woman in my life would like leave me for you.
I have to say,
Like,
I have
like
seen
thank
his
God.
picture, and you'd have some competition.
Oh yeah,
over
okay,
there.
I'm scared. Yeah. No, dude, Bootsy,
I
yeah,
mean, he's
man.
got
Bro,
like
you
these
stay.
kitten blue
I gotta
eyes.
leave
don't
this
know.
province fucking tomorrow. Okay,
Yeah.
get me out of here. I can't
Yeah.
have this thug. Yeah,
He
no,
wasn't
guys are
making up
awesome.
his stats, okay?
Yeah, you know
Anyhow,
what?
it's
Do you know what, Jay? I would say to answer your question, advice. I would say get your levels done the night before. Sit when it's quiet and
Yeah.
look at this stuff when the market's not moving. Turn the futures, like don't even look at the futures. Go look at the SPX and do stuff
Yeah.
do analysis when the stuff's not moving. Go for walks and listen to some interesting podcasts. You know, macro does have for sure. I mean, macro's got a place now because I'm managing money right now. But yeah, like get all your stuff, get everything done the night before, so you wake up fresh and you just take the day on. I mean, control your risk, use your levels, and see where the errors are, and refine and refine. And before you know it, man, it's a great gig if you can kind of stick around. But the only way you stick around is by having a process, and that process requires a little bit of discipline. So
yeah, right on, man. Thank you
so
for joining us.
You got it. I appreciate you guys.
Ciao for now, man. Julia, let's make some picks.
Wait a second, I have to look at Twitter first. I don't know what they chose. Hold on.
Oh, we don't know what they chose yet.
We gotta see what they chose.
Your poll ended, right?
They're I don't know. I think so. They're better than we are, Jay. So.
I know they were right last week, so I'm just waiting for everyone to ape into this.
They're saying yes, that it will close higher than 3,600. Let's make some picks. All right, here we go. Let's do it. 3606 right now. I'm going to say yes. All
Beautiful.
right, I'm going to hit this place your order right as soon as Savannah takes us out.
Fantastic. Have a good day, guys. Enjoy your weekend.
Wait, it's supposed to get us back. Okay, yeah. Oh, there we are. Okay, so.
Okay,
yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Ciao.